صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله عليه وسلم.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. The chapter that deals with the sword of the Prophet ﷺ, and it has two hadiths. Hadith of Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, that the pommel of the sword of the Prophet ﷺ was made of silver, and the hadith of Sa'id ibn Abi al-Hasan, that the pommel of the sword of the Prophet ﷺ was made of silver. Hadith of Anas is authentic and well known. He's a companion. Sa'id ibn Abi al-Hasan is a tabi'i. He's the brother of al-Hasan al-Basri. And it all tells us that the handle was made of silver. And that was not the norm with all the companions, because they did not have that luxury per se. It was all made of steel, iron, copper, and the likes, and lead. But for the Prophet ﷺ, as the head of the state, and it would have lasted longer and more, that was okay, and it's okay for everyone else to take such precious metal, silver that is, not gold, and use it with your weapons of war in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal. Then we move on to the following chapter that deals with the armor of the Prophet ﷺ. And what is the armor? It is what a warrior wears on his body, made of small rings attached to one another. So that would make it difficult for the sword or arrows to penetrate and harm or be fatal blow to the warrior. It's a form of protection. So, Az-Zubair ibn al-Awwam, may Allah be pleased with him, he says that the Prophet ﷺ wore 2 coats of mail on the day of Uhud. So he tried to climb a boulder but was not able because it was too heavy. He therefore made Talha sit beneath him, and the Prophet ﷺ climbed up until he stood upright on the rock. He said, I heard the Prophet ﷺ say, Talha performed a deed worthy of reward. أوجب Talha, meaning that he has done today in the battle of Uhud what no one else had done, and he deserves to be rewarded, meaning by Jannah, because of that. And this shows us that the Prophet ﷺ trusted Allah. But at the same time, he would take the means to protect himself. Unlike what people say that I have tawakkul on Allah. Okay, take the means, work. He said, no, I'm going to sit in the masjid and use my 1,000 pieces prayer beads to remember Allah Azza wa Jal, and my rizq will come. This is insane. This is against Islam. Islam tells you to take the means. When the man came to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, O Prophet of Allah, should I tie my camel, or should I have trust in Allah and leave the camel untied? The Prophet said ﷺ, tie your camel and trust Allah. You have to do both. Your heart should be connected to Allah 24/7, but at the same time you should do the means that Allah told you to take in order to reach your objective. As-Sa'ib ibn Yazid said that the Prophet ﷺ had or wore on the day of Uhud 2 coats of mail, between which he rendered support. And this is also an indication of taking the necessary means. The following chapter deals with the helmet of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is what a warrior wears on his head to protect his head from injury. And Anas ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the Prophet ﷺ entered Mecca wearing a helmet. He was told, this Ibn Khatal, the son of a corrupt speech. Ibn Khatal was a person who slandered the Muslims and the Prophet ﷺ and said bad things, is clinging to the curtains of the Kaaba. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered the companions to execute him and kill him. And Anas ibn Malik also says, as reported, that the Prophet ﷺ entered Mecca in the year of victory with a helmet on his head. And when he took it off, a man came to him and said to him that Ibn al-Khatal is clinging to the curtains of the Kaaba. So the Prophet said, kill him. And Ibn Shihab said, it has also reached me that Allah's Messenger ﷺ was not in the state of ritual ihram on that day, which means that it is permissible for a person to enter Mecca without being in the state of ihram to make umrah, as the Prophet did ﷺ. It also indicates that it is recommended for a warrior to wear a helmet to protect his head. It is also beneficial to know that, unlike what some scholars say, it is permissible to execute and implement prescribed punishment in the haram area, because some schools of thought say that it should not be implemented in the haram area, we should take them out to the hill. But the hadith indicates that the Prophet even ordered them to kill him as an apostate, because he was the Muslim ruler and judge, and he had the authority to execute people and to implement such legitimate prescribed punishments. This is not for anyone to undertake. No one is allowed to take the law into their own hands and execute people or harm people or destroy property, as we see with these ignorant imbeciles all over the world. And they're a very, very, very tiny minority, but the media inflates them and makes them as if this is the norm. No. In Islam, such prescribed punishment can only be implemented and executed by the Muslim ruler, or those whom the Muslim ruler delegates the punishment to in his country. So this has to be done by a panel of judges according to the instruction of the Muslim ruler, and when they give their verdict to the Muslim ruler, it's the Muslim ruler who orders to such prescribed punishment to be implemented, not to any Tom, Dick and Harry wanting to impose Sharia when he's not a Muslim ruler. This is totally out of the question. والله أعلم ونسبة العلم إليه أسلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.
صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله عليه وسلم.